Hello, everyone. Today, I want to tell you a story about my life. My name is Lily, and I am 28 years old. I have been through a lot, and I think my story will teach you something important about love, trust, and heartbreak. This is not just a story. It is my life. It's a story about how I met my husband, how we fell in love, and how things changed after marriage. I will tell you about our dating life and how perfect everything seemed at the beginning. So, let's start. The beginning. I still remember the day I met Jack. It was 5 years ago. I was working at a small cafe in New York City. Jack walked in wearing a black suit, holding a leather briefcase. He looked confident and charming. I was at the counter, and he smiled at me. His smile was warm and friendly, the kind that could make anyone's day better. He ordered a cappuccino, and when I handed it to him, he said, "Thank you. By the way, you have beautiful eyes." I blushed. No one had ever said that to me before. Jack started coming to the cafe every day. Sometimes he brought flowers for me, small ones like daisies or tulips. At first, I thought he was just being kind, but then he asked me out for dinner. I was nervous, but excited. He took me to a cozy Italian restaurant. Over pasta and wine, we talked for hours. He told me he worked in marketing and loved his job. He listened to me like no one else ever had. He made me feel special. For the next 2 years, Jack and I were inseparable. He would surprise me with handwritten notes, take me on long drives, and bring me my favorite chocolates. On weekends, we went to the beach or watched movies at his place. One evening, while we were walking in the park, Jack stopped and said, "Lily, you are the best thing that has ever happened to me. I can't imagine my life without you." Then he got down on one knee and took out a ring. "Will you marry me?" he asked. Tears filled my eyes, and I said, "Yes." It was the happiest moment of my life. We got married 6 months later. It was a beautiful summer day. I wore a white lace gown, and Jack looked handsome in a navy blue suit. All our friends and family were there. We danced under the stars, laughing and holding each other close. Jack whispered in my ear, "I promise to love you forever." I believed him. For the first 2 years, our marriage was like a dream. We bought a small apartment and decorated it together. Jack loved cooking, so we spent many evenings in the kitchen, laughing and trying new recipes. On Sundays, we would sleep in late and have breakfast in bed. He was my best friend, my partner, my everything. I trusted him completely. But life is not always what it seems. Slowly, things started to change. Jack became distant, spending more time at work and less time with me. At first, I thought he was just busy. But then I started noticing things that didn't feel right. This is where my story begins to take a different turn. At first, the changes were small. He would come home later than usual and say, "Sorry, Lily. I had a lot of work at the office." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my husband, the man who promised to love me forever. But then, those late nights became more frequent. He stopped asking me how my day was. Our dinners together became silent. Jack was always on his phone, texting someone, smiling at messages that weren't mine. One evening, I asked him, "Jack, who are you always texting?" He looked at me, surprised, and said, "It's just work stuff, Lily. You don't have to worry." He kissed my forehead and walked away. But I did worry. Something didn't feel right. One Saturday, Jack said he had to go to the office for an important meeting. It was strange because he never worked on weekends. I decided to clean the house to distract myself. As I was folding laundry, I found a receipt in his jeans pocket. It was for an expensive dinner at a restaurant we had never been to. The date on the receipt was last Tuesday, the night Jack told me he was working late. My heart sank. Maybe it's just a client dinner, I told myself, trying to calm the storm in my head. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. A few weeks later, I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of Jack's phone vibrating. He was asleep beside me, so I reached for the phone to silence it. The screen lit up, and I saw a message. "Miss you already. Can't wait to see you again." My hands started shaking. I couldn't breathe. Who was sending this message to my husband? I put the phone back on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. The next morning, I couldn't hold it in any longer. Over breakfast, I asked him, "Jack, are you seeing someone else?" He looked up from his coffee, startled. "What? No, Lily. Why would you even think that?" I pulled out the receipt and placed it on the table. "Then explain this." Jack's face turned pale. He stammered, "It's... Let's keep learning and growing